My name is Sonia Mendelson, and I'm 35 years old. I'm a locksmith, the kind of woman you call when your key snaps and the night feels too long. I live in a small rental with my boyfriend Evan and our son Leo, who's turning 10 this Sunday. For weeks now, Leo's been plastering the fridge with sticky notes that say, 3 sleeps, 2 sleeps, like a countdown to the best day of his life. He wants a simple party, courtyard soccer, hot dogs, and a chocolate cake with a crooked 10. No big decorations, no performers, no matching shirts, just joy. But in my family, joy always comes with terms and conditions. I'm the handy one, the one who shows up when things need fixing. If there's a door that swells in summer, call Sonia. A fence that leans, call Sonia. A camera to install, call Sonia. But when it comes to celebrations, attention, or pride, that's Audrey's domain, my older sister, the family's golden child. She doesn't fix things. Doors open for her. Mom adores her, has since we were kids. Audrey's name is always said like honey, mine like a checklist. Audrey's ballet recitals filled the living room with flowers. My science fair trophies were tucked on a shelf behind the TV. Mom has always kept a ledger, not written down, but memorized. Every favor, every visit, every moment of obedience is marked and tallied. Somehow, Audrey always ends up in the green, and I'm always working on it. Still, I've made peace with being useful. Locks don't care who gets credit. They just need patience, precision, and a gentle ear. You learn to listen for tiny clicks that tell you things are finally lining up. That's what I crave in people too, honest clicks. I met Evan during a lockout call 4 years ago. He offered me a bottle of water and asked if I wanted lemon. That question stayed with me. Like someone finally noticed I existed in the heat. He didn't need rescuing. He just wanted to share something small. We've been together ever since. Our little family works like an old key, not fancy, but reliable. Leo's laughter fills in all the spaces life forgot. Saturday afternoon, I stopped by my parents' house to borrow a folding table for Leo's birthday. Mom's the type who can't lend a spoon without attaching a sermon, but I needed it. I was dusting the table in the garage when her voice echoed behind me. "Come inside for tea," she said, the tone that means there's an agenda. Dad sat in his recliner, pretending to watch the muted TV. He does that when Mom starts her talks, trying to look neutral, but somehow always landing on her side. Mom poured tea, no sugar, and went straight to the point. "We've been talking," she said, her voice all soft diplomacy. "About Sunday, about Leo." I smiled, cautious. "Okay, what about him?" She sighed, the kind that means she's already disappointed. "You can't have the party here." I blinked. "What?" "Your sister's kids don't feel special enough," she said like it was breaking news. "They saw the balloons you bought. They're sensitive right now. A big fuss for Leo would be divisive." I actually laughed. I thought she was joking. "Mom, it's 5 kids, a cake, and a soccer net from Marketplace. We're not hiring a band." Her lips thinned. "Then postpone. Or make it a joint party at Audrey's. Her yard's bigger anyway. It's only fair." "Fair?" I repeated. "Leo turns 10 once." Her eyes sharpened, her voice cooling like ice on glass. "If you choose selfishness, don't bring him here afterward. We won't reward that behavior." The kettle clicked. Dad shifted in his chair, but didn't say a word. Something inside me, something small and mechanical, moved into place. Not rage, recognition. I'd heard this before, just with different excuses. I saw the invisible ledger again, and I realized that Leo was about to be written in as another deduction. I stood. "Okay," I said simply. "I hear you." And I walked out, left the folding table, the tea, the lecture. Walked out empty-handed, but suddenly full of something else, a sentence forming sharp and certain in my head. "He turns 10 once, and we're done asking permission to be happy." You don't reach a moment like that overnight. It's built slowly, brick by brick. When Audrey needed a new costume, the budget stretched. When I needed field trip money, we had to talk about priorities. When she got married at a vineyard, Mom called it destiny. When I fixed their fence after a storm, Mom called it helping out. Being useful became my job. Being adored became Audrey's. But lately I've started keeping my own ledger, a quiet one, in our budget notebook. Family jobs, January through June, 37 hours. Parts, $213. Reimbursed, $0. Mom texted once. "We'll settle after Easter, then again, after Mother's Day. Then, things are tight this month." A week later, Audrey posted a photo of her new espresso machine with the caption, "Invest in mornings." Right. It's not just the money, it's the assumption that my time, my child, my peace are all elastic, that our lives can bend to fit their convenience. Last year, we tried a joint party for Leo's 9th birthday. It'll teach the kids to share, Mom said. Instead, it taught Leo what invisibility feels like. Audrey's twins blew out the candles. Their cake topper read "Family First." Leo smiled for photos while holding a half-melted popsicle. Later, he asked if joint meant not really mine. I told him no, then cried quietly while brushing my teeth. That's when I decided, never again. By Saturday night, my phone lit up like a fire alarm. Dad, is compromise really so hard? Mom, we're one family. Don't divide us. Audrey, bring the cake to my place. It'll look better there. Evan sat across from me at the kitchen table, streamers and balloons scattered between us. What do you want to do? He asked, steady and low. I looked at Leo's crayon drawings taped to the fridge, at the cake mix waiting on the counter. I want to give our son his day, I said, and stop negotiating for basic joy. He nodded. Then we do that. Mom's final message arrived at 10:41 p.m. If you go through with this, don't bring him here afterward. We cannot support your choices. And that's when it hit me. Support in this family has always meant control. That night I dreamed of locks, of stubborn cylinders turning, pins falling perfectly into place. The click was soft but final. Sunday morning, Leo burst into the kitchen in mismatched socks, eyes wide. Is it today? Is it double digits? It's today, I smiled. It's double digits. We iced the cake together. My swirls looked like waves. He called them mountains. Evan piped the numbers a little crooked. It felt right. At 9:14, Mom called. At 9:16, Audrey. At 9:20, Dad. I let them all ring. Then we opened the courtyard gate and hung a paper arrow that said Leo's 10. Kids arrived, backpacks bouncing, laughter spilling everywhere. We played penalty kicks until sweat and frosting blurred together, and at 10:03, the gate rattled. Mom walked in, Audrey behind her, both dressed like they were hosting an event they weren't invited to. My stomach sank, but my voice didn't tremble. Evan's hand brushed my shoulder, a silent promise. You're not alone in this. Mom looked around the courtyard, her lips tightening. Sonia, she said, voice sharp enough to cut through music. We told you the conditions. This is Leo's party, I said, calm. Audrey smiled, all teeth. We're not here to fight. We're here to rescue this. Bring the cake to my place. The cousins are waiting. It'll look good. I took a breath, looked at the kids, all wide-eyed and confused, then back at my family. You can stay and be kind, I said, or you can leave. Mom's eyes widened. Excuse me? You heard me. No speeches, no conditions, no rescue. Audrey laughed softly. Big words, small budget. Something in me clicked. The same sound I hear when a lock finally turns. Stop, I said. Audrey blinked. What? Stop making my son's birthday about your kids. Stop walking into places you weren't invited and pretending to host. Stop turning everything we do into your project. Mom switched to her favorite tactic, guilt. After everything we've done for you, you turned done for me into a bill, I said quietly. I'm not paying it anymore. Then I turned to Leo's friends. Who wants to sing? They cheered, high and off-key, the purest sound in the world. Leo closed his eyes, blew out all 10 candles, and grinned like he'd just won something invisible but enormous. And maybe he had. When I looked up, Mom and Audrey were still there, frozen, irrelevant, outside the frame of our happiness. Something inside me, that old, quiet part, whispered, click. The door had finally locked behind them. After the party, our courtyard looked like the aftermath of a confetti storm. Paper plates in the grass, icing smudged on the picnic bench, the faint smell of chocolate and sun-warmed balloons. Leo was still buzzing, chasing the last of his friends to the gate, shouting thank yous through laughter. Evan stood beside me, holding the cake knife like a peace flag. You okay? He asked quietly. I nodded, but my hands wouldn't stop trembling. I wasn't used to saying no and not apologizing afterward. Mom and Audrey had left without another word, though the look on Mom's face said there would be consequences. That was fine. I'd spent my life paying emotional interest on their approval. Maybe it was time to default. When Leo ran back, frosting on his cheek and eyes bright as stars, I realized I hadn't seen him this happy in years. His smile wasn't borrowed. It was his. That night, after Leo fell asleep, Evan and I sat in the living room with the lights off, the faint glow from the street lamp painting our ceiling. She's going to call, he said. I know. What are you going to say? Nothing. He nodded slowly, the way he does when he's proud but doesn't want to push it. You locked the door today, Sonia. Yeah, I exhaled. I think it finally clicked. We didn't sleep much. The silence after a storm can be louder than thunder. By morning, Mom's campaign had begun. 13 missed calls. 2 voicemails that started with, "We're worried about you," and ended with, "You've disappointed the family." Audrey sent a text with a link to a photo of her backyard arch. This could have been beautiful. Dad's message just said, "Call your mother." I didn't. Leo woke up humming the birthday song to himself. I watched him stir pancake batter and thought, this is the piece they call selfishness. At noon, Mom texted, "If you're still upset, let's meet for dinner. I'll make chicken soup." The same soup she makes after every fight, as if broth can erase manipulation. I typed one word, "No," then deleted it, then typed, "We're fine, Mom. Please stop." Her reply came instantly. "Don't be dramatic, Sonia. Family means communication." I didn't answer. Instead, I turned off my phone and went to the hardware store with Evan. While we stood in the aisle comparing padlocks, he asked, "You sure you want to stay in that apartment? We could find something bigger." "Later," I said. "Right now, I just want something small that's ours." He nodded, touching my shoulder. "Ours sounds good." That evening, we drove to a budget motel off Route 8, just one night away from the noise. The room smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and old air conditioning. Leo jumped on the bed, the springs squeaking like laughter. "We're really doing this?" Evan asked. "Yeah." "You know she's going to lose her mind." "She already did." He smiled a little, then turned serious. "You're strong, Sonia." I laughed softly. "No, I'm tired. There's a difference." He leaned in. "Maybe, but tired people don't start over unless they're brave." Outside, a neon sign blinked vacancy. Inside, Leo fell asleep between us, smelling of cake and sunscreen. I felt his small hand rest against my arm like a seal on a promise. A week later, we moved into a small sublet above a barber shop. The landlord, Mr. Ortiz, was an older man with a thick accent and a kind smile. "Deadbolt sticks," he warned, handing me 2 keys. I laughed. Not for long. It took 5 minutes to fix. When it clicked open smoothly, he grinned. "You good with doors?" "Trying to be," I said. The place was tiny, 2 rooms and a kitchenette, but it was ours. We carried up boxes of essentials, a mattress, Leo's beanbag, the coin jar from home, and the folding chair that somehow followed us everywhere. By evening, we were sitting on the floor, eating takeout noodles from paper containers. Leo asked, "Is this our new house?" "For now," I said, "just until we figure things out." He thought about that, then smiled. "I like it. It smells like shampoo." Evan laughed. "That's the barber shop downstairs." Leo grinned wider. "So we live above hair?" "Exactly," I said. "We're sky people now." He giggled so hard he snorted, and for the first time in years, I laughed without checking who was watching. The family storm came right on schedule. Week 1, 27 missed calls from Mom, 14 from Dad, 8 from Audrey. Voicemails about forgiveness, unity, and therapy bills. I saved them in a folder labeled Weather, a reminder that storms sound the same every time. Week 2. Mom sent a text listing every loan she'd ever given me, diapers from 2015, gas money from a decade ago, even a pie she once baked for Thanksgiving. I added it to the weather folder too. Week 3. Passive-aggressive Facebook quotes about ungrateful daughters and families torn apart by pride. Screenshots went into weather as well. By the time the month ended, I could scroll through the folder like a forecast, and each message reminded me of what we'd escaped. Our new life was small, quiet, and somehow huge. Every morning, I'd walk Leo to school past the smell of coffee from the corner cafe and the steady hum of the barbershop radio. After work, Evan would meet us at the park for soccer. Leo's laughter echoed across the field like sunlight on metal. We started 2 jars on the counter, one labeled summer, one labeled emergency. We fed them with spare change and small tips. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. We fixed the car ourselves, cooked too much pasta, and stopped waiting for approval. One night, Leo asked, "Are we poor?" I smiled. "No, sweetheart, we're careful." He grinned. "Careful sounds cooler." And it did. Then, right when peace started feeling normal, the phone rang. I saw the name and froze. Dad. I answered after the 3rd ring. "Garage door won't close," he said flatly. "Your mother's upset." I took a breath. "I can come Friday at 2, $95 an hour plus parts." Silence. "You're really doing this?" he asked. "I am." He hung up. 2 days later, Mom texted a photo of a messy repair job. This is what happens when family doesn't help family. I stared at the picture for a long time before typing back, "Maybe you hired the wrong locksmith." Then I deleted it and put my phone down. Leo came into the room holding a Lego creation. "Look, Mom, it's our new house. See? It's small, but strong." I bent down, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "Exactly." Because that's what we were becoming. Small, but strong. By the end of that first month, our little place above the barber shop had started to feel like a refuge instead of a hiding spot. Evan called it the quiet floor. Mr. Ortiz downstairs liked to hum old love songs while trimming hair, and sometimes the scent of aftershave drifted up through the vents. Leo said it smelled like fresh mornings. Life became a rhythm of small, honest things. I fixed locks for new clients who actually paid. Evan cooked dinners that tasted like safety. Leo learned to ride his bike on the back alley's cracked pavement. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't being measured. Then one afternoon, while I was reorganizing my tools, a message popped up on my phone. From Jenna. Jenna, Evan's ex-girlfriend. The one Mom used to bring up whenever she wanted to remind me that Evan had options. "Hey, Sonia, I just found out Evan lives near the shop I go to. Small world. Hope you're both well." My stomach tightened. There was nothing wrong with the message. Polite. Harmless even. But I could already hear my mother's voice turning it into something else. When Evan got home that night, I showed him the text. He read it once, shrugged, and kissed the top of my head. "She probably means it, but if it makes you uncomfortable, I'll block her." "That's not the point," I said. "It's the narrative my mother will write from it." He smiled faintly. "Then don't give her the pen." That night, I dreamed about keys again. Dozens of them, all jingling at once, too many to count. The next morning, while I was locking up after a job, I ran into Audrey at the hardware store. She spotted me before I could turn away. "Sonia! Well, well, I heard you're charging the family now. Business booming?" Her tone was sugar poured over broken glass. I didn't flinch. "You heard right?" She smirked. "Mom says you're trying to prove a point. I'm just asking to be paid like everyone else." Audrey leaned on the counter, perfectly polished as always. "You used to help because you cared. Now it's about invoices and boundaries. What happened to you?" I met her eyes. I stopped confusing exhaustion for love. For a moment, she actually blinked. Then her expression hardened. "Mom thinks you're embarrassing yourself. She says you'll come around." "Tell Mom I said hi," I answered and walked away. Her voice followed me out the door. "You'll regret this when Leo starts asking why Grandma doesn't visit." I didn't turn around. Inside the van, my hands trembled, but not from fear, from release. Each conversation like this was another screw loosened from the door that used to trap me. A week later, Mom made her move. A group text, me, Dad, and Audrey. Family dinner. Saturday. Let's be adults. Bring Leo and Evan. I've invited someone special too. The winking emoji felt like a loaded gun. I ignored it. Saturday evening, Evan said gently, "You sure you want to skip it?" "Absolutely," I said. "Whatever that special someone is, it's not for us." He nodded. No argument. That's the thing about Evan. He never pushes where I've already bled. At 9:30 p.m., a photo appeared on my phone anyway. Audrey had posted it publicly. Mom's table gleaming, candles lit, plates arranged like a magazine shoot. And next to Mom, Jenna. The caption read, "Family always finds its way home." I stared at it for a full minute, then laughed. It was so perfectly on brand. A performance of inclusion that excluded me. Evan saw it over my shoulder. His jaw tightened. She invited Jenna? Apparently she's the special someone. He opened his mouth, then stopped. "Do you want me to say something?" "No," I said. "Let her think she's clever. You can't shame people who think manipulation is hospitality." He sighed. "I hate that they do this to you." I smiled faintly. "They're not doing it to me anymore. They're just doing it." A few days later, Dad called. "Your mother's upset. She thinks you're being cruel." "She invited your daughter's boyfriend's ex to dinner," I said. "She forfeited the moral high ground." He exhaled sharply. "Sonia, you know how she is. It's easier if you just play along." I almost laughed. I've been playing along for 35 years. The game's over. When I hung up, my heart was pounding, but lighter. Work started picking up after that. Word spread fast that I was reliable and precise. I raised my rates again. $105 weekdays, $125 weekends. Clients didn't blink. One evening, I sat at our tiny kitchen table counting the week's income when Leo walked in, holding a coin jar. "I added my allowance to the summer jar," he said proudly. so we can go to the lake. I smiled, tracing the lid of the jar. That's generous. I learned it from you, he said simply, then scampered off. It hit me like a soft ache, the kind that comes from seeing your own healing mirrored in someone small. Of course, Mom found a new angle. She started sending messages through relatives. Aunt Rachel called to say Mom was worried about the example I was setting. She says you're teaching Leo to be selfish, Aunt Rachel said, half apologetic. I laughed quietly. If protecting your peace is selfish, then maybe it's overdue. That weekend, Evan suggested we go to the park. The weather was gold and forgiving. Leo kicked his soccer ball, shouting, "Goal!" so loudly that strangers clapped. We sat on the bench, and Evan handed me a paper cup of lemonade. You know, he said, I think you scare them. I frowned. Why? Because you stopped needing permission. He was right. The ledger was gone. I wasn't balancing their accounts anymore. I was building my own. Still, a small part of me wondered, when people like Mom and Audrey lose control, what do they do next? Something in my gut whispered, they don't stop. They escalate. By spring, peace had become routine. Leo's laughter filled our mornings, Evan's steady warmth anchored my evenings, and the world had stopped spinning around Mom's moods. It was strange, quiet, ordinary, beautiful. But in families like mine, calm is never allowed to last too long. The first tremor came on a Saturday morning. We were at the park. Leo and his friends were playing soccer while I chatted with another mom on the sidelines. Audrey appeared out of nowhere, sunglasses glinting, voice bright and falsely sweet. Well, if it isn't my little sister, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Haven't seen you since you moved out. I forced a polite smile. Hey, Audrey. Her kids ran past, impeccably dressed, in matching jerseys. She pointed to Leo. Oh, there he is. Wow, he's gotten so big. Then, lowering her voice, you know, Mom worries about him not having enough family time. You should really bring him over more. Mom's welcome to call, I said. She has my number. Audrey tilted her head. She says you never answer. I answer messages that don't come with conditions. Her smile flickered. You always think you're the victim, don't you? Not anymore, I said quietly. I'm just done volunteering for guilt. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she clapped her hands, suddenly cheerful again. Anyway, we're doing a big spring gathering next weekend. You should come. Mom wants everyone there. There'll be games, food, even a photo booth. You know how she loves family pictures. I knew exactly what this was, a PR stunt. A chance to post glossy smiles and captions about forgiveness while pretending none of the venom ever happened. Thanks, I said, but we've already got plans. Her lips curved. You always do. As she turned to leave, she added, You can't hide forever, Sonia. Sooner or later, Leo will see how divided you've made us. I didn't reply, but the words lingered like the smell of burnt sugar. The spring gathering turned out to be more elaborate than I'd imagined. Photos flooded social media. My parents' backyard transformed into a magazine spread. Audrey's twins posed under pastel balloons. Mom wrote a caption that made my stomach twist. So grateful for the family that shows up. Some people drift, but love stays. The comments were predictable. Beautiful family. Such strong values. You must be so proud of your daughters. Only one person noticed something missing. Where's your other daughter, Sonia? Mom didn't answer. Audrey replied for her. Oh, she's busy with work these days, we understand. I stared at the screen for a long time. It wasn't just the lie. It was how effortlessly they rewrote the story. Evan came up behind me, reading over my shoulder. You okay? Yeah, I said. I'm just realizing how much energy it takes to make dysfunction look this pretty. He kissed the back of my neck. Then let them get tired. 2 weeks later, the real storm hit. The community center hosted its annual Family Fun Day. Games, food, music, an afternoon where all the neighborhood kids ran wild. Leo begged to go. I hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. All right, I said, smiling. Let's make some memories. We arrived early. Evan helped set up tables. I handed out cupcakes. For the first time in a long time, I felt normal. Until I heard Audrey's voice. She was there. Of course she was. Mom, too. Matching scarves, holding lemonade cups like trophies. Audrey waved dramatically. Sonia, what a surprise. Her voice was syrup over poison. Everyone, this is my sister. We've been meaning to reconnect. I froze mid-step. People turned. It was a small crowd, but the kind that feeds on awkwardness. Mom said it'd be nice to surprise you, Audrey continued. You can help us run the kids' games, just like old times. I stared at her, trying to gauge if she actually believed her own script. I'm here for Leo, I said evenly. not to play hostess. She smiled wider, stepping closer. Oh, come on, don't be so dramatic. We're just one big family. Let's do this together, for the kids. Behind her, Mom nodded like a politician sealing a deal. Sonia, this is what healing looks like. No, healing doesn't look like ambushes dressed as reconciliation. Leo tugged my sleeve. Mom, can I go play soccer? Go ahead, honey, I said, keeping my voice steady. Stay where I can see you. Audrey followed my gaze toward him, her expression softening for a heartbeat before jealousy flickered in. He's really happy, isn't he? Yes, I said simply. He is. Her eyes hardened. Must be nice not to care how that makes everyone else feel. And there it was, the truth she couldn't keep buried. This isn't about you, Audrey. It's always about you, she snapped suddenly. The crowd went silent. You left the family, and now you act like you're better than us. Mom rushed in, trying to smooth it over. Girls, please. But Audrey wasn't finished. You embarrassed Mom. You broke her heart, and now you're raising Leo to hate us. Enough, my voice cut through like steel. I turned to Mom. You taught her this. You taught us both that love is a competition, that affection has to be earned, that one child's happiness must come at the other's expense. I'm done playing that game. Audrey's face flushed red. Don't twist this. I reached into my tote and pulled out a folded piece of paper, the printout of my family ledger. Every hour I'd spent fixing their homes, every unpaid part, every promise of reimbursement that never came. Here, I said, handing it to Mom. This is what help cost me. Not money, respect. Every unchecked box is a moment you turned gratitude into a weapon. Mom took the paper but didn't look at it. Her mouth trembled. Sonia, I never... Yes, you did, I said softly. And maybe you didn't mean to, but intent doesn't erase impact. Audrey's voice cracked. So what now? You just walk away? Make us the villains? No, I said. I just stopped volunteering to be the casualty. For a moment, everything froze. The crowd, the music, even the breeze. Then Leo's voice broke through. Mom, I scored! I turned and saw him running toward me, face glowing with joy, holding up a cheap plastic medal. I smiled and opened my arms. That's amazing, sweetheart. He barreled into me, laughter bubbling. Evan joined us, one hand on my back, grounding me. When I looked up, Mom and Audrey were still standing there, frozen in their own silence. I met Mom's eyes. This is what love looks like, Mom. It doesn't need permission. She said nothing. Audrey turned away, muttering something about ungratefulness. The crowd slowly scattered. The music returned. The storm had passed, but I knew its echo would linger. As we walked home that evening, Leo skipped ahead, metal clinking. Evan squeezed my hand. You were incredible back there. I wasn't trying to be, I said quietly. I was just done being silent. He smiled. Sometimes silence is what keeps the locks jammed. And somewhere deep inside, I felt another quiet click. One more door opening. 3 days after the Community Day confrontation, my phone rang at dawn. Mom. For a long moment, I just stared at the screen, watching it buzz on the nightstand. Evan stirred beside me. You don't have to answer, he murmured. I know, I said, but I need to. When I picked up, her voice was small, not the commanding tone that used to fill rooms. This was the voice she used only when she wanted to sound fragile. Sonia, she began, we need to talk. I took a slow breath. About what? About everything. A pause. Can you come over? Your father and I just want to clear the air. Clear the air. That phrase had always meant reset the ledger. Still, I agreed. Not because I hoped she'd changed, but because I wanted closure that didn't depend on her apology. The drive to my parents' house felt longer than usual. The hedges were trimmed, the front steps spotless, as if the house itself was ready for a performance. Mom opened the door wearing her usual hostess smile. Come in, she said softly. I made tea. The same ritual. Always tea. Always control disguised as comfort. I sat across from her at the kitchen table, the one I'd sanded and revarnished years ago after a leak ruined the finish, the one she never paid me for. For a while, neither of us spoke. Finally, she started. You embarrassed me, Sonia, in front of the neighbors, the kids. Audrey's friends were there. I bit my tongue, let the silence stretch. She sighed. You didn't have to make such a scene. I was only trying to bring the family together. That's not what happened, I said gently. You staged a reunion to control the story. You always do. Her eyes flicked up, wounded. I just want my family back. Then stop keeping score. That landed like a key turning halfway. She blinked. What do you mean? You love through ledgers, Mom. You tally who visited, who called, who obeyed. You say help, but you mean debt. You say support, but you mean control. I can't live like that anymore, and Leo won't grow up learning that affection has a price. She looked stunned, maybe because I said it calmly, without anger. Dad appeared in the doorway then, hands shoved in his pockets. Your mother just doesn't want the family divided, he said. The family was divided long before I said no, I replied. It was divided the moment love became conditional. He sighed, gaze dropping. She's trying. No, I said quietly. She's performing. That finally broke something. Mom's voice cracked. Do you hate me? I shook my head. No, I just can't keep opening doors you keep locking behind me. She pressed a hand to her chest, tears gathering. I didn't mean to hurt you. I know, I stood. But meaning well isn't the same as doing right. For the first time in years, she didn't have a comeback. Just a soft, bewildered silence. I left the tea untouched. Outside, the air smelled of rain. Evan was waiting in the car, Leo in the back seat coloring. When I climbed in, Evan searched my face. How'd it go? I buckled my seatbelt. She wanted to clear the air. I let her see the fog. He reached for my hand. That's enough. I nodded. Yeah, it finally is. Life moved quietly after that. Mom didn't call for a while. Audrey posted less on social media, as if her fury had burned itself out. Dad texted once, a simple, "Your mother's thinking things over." And I didn't rush to respond. Some Sundays, I still felt that ache, the one that whispers, maybe this time will be different. But I've learned not to mistake longing for obligation. Evan and I spent weekends fixing up small things in our apartment. He taught Leo how to restring the used soccer net. I showed Leo how to replace a door hinge. Locks and keys, Leo said one afternoon, squinting up at me. You really like them, huh? I smiled. Yeah, because they remind me that things can open when they're ready and stay closed when they need to. He nodded like he understood. Maybe he did. Later that evening, I sat on the balcony as the city hummed below. The sun dipped behind rooftops, painting everything in gold and gray. Evan brought me a mug of tea, lemon, no sugar, the way he always does. Do you think they'll ever change? He asked quietly. Maybe, I said, but that's not my responsibility anymore. He smiled, wrapping an arm around my shoulder. You've changed enough for all of them. I leaned against him, feeling his steady heartbeat under my cheek. The world outside was still messy, unpredictable, but inside there was peace. When Leo came out, holding his medal from Family Day, I saw it differently this time, not as proof of winning, but of surviving. He looked at me with his father's calm eyes. Mom, are we happy now? I smiled. We're safe. That's even better. He grinned. Safe and careful. Evan laughed softly. That's our new family motto. We stayed there until the streetlights flickered on. A locksmith, a man who believed in second chances, and a boy who finally learned that joy doesn't need permission. The old locks were still out there, but I wasn't afraid of them anymore. Some doors are meant to stay closed, and others, like ours, finally open the right way.